Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This video tutorial is for students who are in Geometry Goal 3. We've just gotten ourselves started. We're now used to the different types of triangles, and now we want to get into some of the finer nuances and find out specifically what some of the angles do with triangles, which is kind of cool. And then the next video will be, of course, my favorite family, but we'll talk about that in a second. So first things first, anytime you see something in the title topic that says establishing facts, while visually, when you look at what the setup is, it all looks a little complicated and a little bit scary, these tend to be very repetitious, meaning you tend to write the same answers in the same boxes over and over again. And as a result, especially for beginners, these are good topics to sort of cut your teeth into and get yourself used to what you're actually talking about. So for example, angle 5 and angle 1 are everybody's favorite types of angles, alternate interior, that's my abbreviation for alternate interior, and since lines L and K, angle 5 and angle 1 are going to be everyone's favorite symbol, congruent. So the measure of angle 1 is going to be the same as the measure of angle 5, which in this case is 40 degrees. Next up, now we have angle 2 and angle 4. They are also alternate interior angles, which means they are also congruent, which means they are also 39 degrees, because that's what the measure of angle 2 is. And now we're getting ourselves used to this. By angle addition property, you remember that from goal 1, we know that measure of angle 3, 4, and 5 all add up to, what's the measure of a straight angle? 180 degrees. That's one of our favorite numbers in geometry. So if we have 49 and 40, measure of angle 3 is going to be 180 minus those angles. So 180 minus 79, which is 101 degrees. And therefore, the measure of angle 1, 2, and 3 is also going to be 180 degrees. So the relationship between angles 1, 2, and 3 is an example of the following rule. The sum of an interior angles of a triangle is always 180 degrees. And this is one of Ms. Dubois' favorite triangle proofs, the proof that all angles in a triangle is 180 degrees. It's just glorious. All right, so now we have a new setup. 5 and 1, and again, you'll notice I'm labeling my diagrams because that is a mission critical strategy for people who are in geometry. So 5 and 1 are what kind of angles? Alternate interior. Wow, that sounds familiar. That means they are congruent. Wow, that sounds familiar. So the measure of angle 1 is going to be the same as the measure of angle 5, and the measure of angle 5 is 32 degrees. Gee, this sounds familiar. Angle 2 and angle 4 are, oh look, they're alternate interior again, which means they are congruent again, which means they are 46 degrees again. Hey look, all angles in a straight angle because of angle addition is going to equal to 180 degrees again, which means we're going to do 180 minus the other two angles, which is going to be 78, which means the measure of angle 3 is 102. Drum roll, please. What's this going to be? 180 and 180, which is why establishing facts tends to be really cathartic because of all of the repetition that is going on in this particular topic. And also, we're proving Ms. Dubois' favorite theorem, so there's that as well. Moving on. There is another establishing facts, again, getting ourselves comfortable with the repetition. Here, what they're trying to do is interior and exterior. So again, we have some vocab words. If it is inside the triangle, we consider it interior. If it is outside, we consider it exterior. So that's the setup. Interior, inside a triangle, exterior, outside of a triangle. I sort of assume that's a no-duh, but just in case. So the sum of the interior angles in a triangle is, gee, what did we just figure? Oh yeah, 180. So the measure of angle 1, 2, and 4 add up to 180. Okay, we're given that the measure of angle 2 is 52 degrees, which means the measure of angle 1 and 4 is going to be 180 minus the 52, which is 131.28 degrees. There we go. So we also see that measure of angles 2 and 3 are going to add up to 180 because, again, angle addition, it makes a straight angle. So since the measure of angle 2 is 52 degrees, then this must also be 128. See, we're starting to get that repetition. 180, 180, 180, 128, 128. Therefore, the measure of angle 3 equals the measure of angle 1 and 4. And now we get to the actual drop down. The result of this is the exterior angle property of triangles. For any triangle, the measure of an exterior angle equals the sum of the remote interior angles. Interior angles. Now, what does that actually mean? Let me clear off up here. What that means is the measure of angle 3 is equal to the measure of angles 1 and 4. These are both considered remote because, like a remote control, that means you have control over something that's far away. So if these are far away from your exterior angle, that's what it means by remote interior. So what you're doing is you're actually describing remote means it's far away, interior means that it is inside the triangles. Okay, so now that we have this set up, this is a very handy property. You actually use it in a couple of topics later. We'll get to them. So all interior angles is 180, which means the measure of these angles is 180. Where else is there 180? Measure of angle 1 and 2, 180. Now, over here, measure of angle 2 is 34 degrees, which means we have to do 180 minus 34, which is 150, 146 degrees. So we're going to copy and paste it down here because that's what we're trying to point out. The two angles are equal, which means they are equal to the sum of the remote interior angles. That's what this is doing. So again, establishing facts tends to be a benefit for you guys. If you see them, you kind of want to do them first. Now that we understand the basics, let's do some actual computation. So first things first, since all angles add up to 180, that means the 44 degrees plus the 90 degrees plus the x equals 180. 180. So that means 134 plus x equals 180 minus 134 minus 134, x equals 46 degrees. Okay, so far so good. Next up, all angles in a triangle add up to 180, so x plus 30 plus 120 equals 180. Like terms, so x plus 150 equals 180 minus 150 minus 150, x equals 30 degrees. Oh wow, that was an easy topic. We could burn through that really fast. How about this one? The remote exterior. So we know that this is the same as adding these two things together. So therefore, x plus 34 equals 132. That was the whole point of this topic up here. So minus 34 minus 34, x equals 90, yeah, brain turn on, 98 degrees. There you go. Then these two equal the 125, so x plus 48 equals 125 minus 48 minus 48, as I get hair in my mouth, x equals 77 degrees. So that's 4 topics right in a row that you can burn through really, really fast as you start going through this chapter. Let's find another one. Okay, let's tick up the difficulty curve for a second. Now, since we are getting the hang of this, let's do both properties at once. First of all, vertical angles. This is all the way back from chapter 1. You're getting used to the fact that vertical angles are always congruent. So if this is 60, that means this is 60. And look, remote interior, exterior. So x equals 60 plus 46. So x equals 106 degrees. Oh, okay, that's actually not that bad. And again, I will say this until I'm blue in the face for geometry. For the sake of your sanity, label your diagrams. To make everyone happy, label your diagrams. So if this is 39, this is 39. Okay, and then let's see here. I kind of like this angle and this angle because they're remote interiors, which means x equals all of this. So 32 and 33 is going to be 65. 65 plus 39. So x equals 9104 degrees. Keep an eye out for this topic. There are other flavors, but I couldn't find them when I was doing my screen grabs. These are the two most common. If you see any others, you're just getting used to the fact that you're probably going to be using some vertical angles, you're going to be using the fact of remote interiors, and you're going to be using the fact that all angles add up to 180 degrees. With those two pieces of information, your remote interiors and your 180 degrees kind of burned into your brain, all it is then, it becomes a trial of labeling your diagrams. So next up, let's take it a little bit further. Let's see here, find the measure of x. Okay, let's see. This is, again, you're labeling your diagrams. I'm cheating a little bit because I kind of already know the answer for this, but I happen to notice that we have, since these are parallel, that's the symbol for parallel, that means we have some alternate interior angles, you know, the angles that are your best friends in life. So those two are alternate interior angles because here's the transversal, here's one side of the interior, here's the other side of the interior, which means that 130 equals 101 plus x minus 101 minus 101, x equals 29 degrees. Oh, okay, that wasn't so bad. This one isn't quite the same. You can kind of see we have a different flavor. But again, alternate interior angles are your friend. If that's 33, then what's this? Oh yeah, 33. And oh look, all angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So 80 plus 33 plus x equals 180. So that's going to be 113 plus x equals 180 minus 113 minus 113, x equals 67 degrees. And suddenly you're realizing, oh, actually, so long as I'm labeling everything, subtle hint to label everything, this isn't actually so bad. And now we're going to take this up again and round off this particular subsection of the chapter. All angles add up to 180 degrees. Well, we have a 90, we have a 5x plus 30, or 30 minus 31, and we have a 4x plus 13. Gee, I wonder what we should do. What possibly could be done with all of these random variable expressions in order to make them work for us? I just don't know. Except, yes, I do, and I can't write. So we have a bunch of like terms here, so we're going to start with that first. So 5x and 4x is 9x. 90, 13 is 103. 103 minus 31 is 72 degrees, I believe, equals 180. If I did this right, this will divide evenly, and if not, I'm going to embarrass myself, hit pause, and find my mistake. So minus 72 minus 72, 9x equals 8, which means I did my math wrong. Hang on a second. And this is the part where I burn in shame and humiliation because I totally forgot the rest of the subtraction sequence. Yeah, that was embarrassing. Okay, anyway, divide by 9, x equals, 12. Now, let's see here. Are they asking for find the degree measure of each angle in the triangle? This is something that you always want to keep an eye on, especially for my SAT people. Always look at what they're actually asking for, because a lot of people tend to say, oh, x equals 12, we're done. No, you're not. So the measure of angle x, that was the easy one, because that's 90 degrees, because they gave us the little box thingy that tells us that. The measure of angle w, that is 5 times 12 minus 31. So that's going to be 60 minus 31, which is 29. So that's 29 degrees. Next up, the measure of angle V is going to be what? That is going to be 4 times 12 plus 13. So 48 plus 13, 50, 61 degrees. 61 degrees. Does that all add up to 180? Let's see here, just double check my math here. So that's going to be 10. So it's going to be 10, 12. Yep, it adds up to 180, so therefore we're good. All right, next up, they all add up to 180. We're getting used to that. So 2x minus 3 plus x plus 7 plus 5x equals 180. So 5x, x, and 2x, 5, 6, 8x minus 3 plus 7, so plus 4 equals 180 minus 4 minus 4, 8x equals 176, divide by 8, divide by 8, x equals 22 degrees. And again, we're finding the measure of each angle in the triangle. So the measure of angle H is 2 times 22 minus 3, so 44 minus 3, which is 41 degrees. 41 degrees. Next is the measure of angle I, which is just 5 times 22, which is going to be 110 degrees. And then the measure of angle G is going to be 22 plus 7, which is 29 degrees. 29 degrees. Do they add up to 180? Let's see here. Double check my math. 2, 3, 7, 8. Yep, they add up to 180. So there are going to be your answers. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is everything for the second family of triangles, getting you used to the fact that all triangles add up to 180 degrees, and getting you used to the fact that you can use that to your advantage, as well as keeping ourselves brushed up on our algebra skills. Next up, we talk about Ms. Dubois' absolute favorite part of Goal 3. As always, stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. I'll see you in the next one.